Well, good morning and welcome to Wesley College. My name is Kim Bence. As Head of Campus here at St Kilda Road, it is my great privilege to welcome you, albeit remotely, to our wonderful campus. This morning I'm joined by our Head of Junior School, Sabina De Bono, and a couple of our very courageous junior school students, August and Arabella, who will be taking you on a virtual journey of their experiences, highlighting the many and varied opportunities that come with a Wesley education. Well, since 1886, Wesley College has been recognised for its progressive values and standards of excellence, and is a true pioneer in teaching and learning. Our intentional commitment to developing the whole child provides our students with a strong sense of personal agency, accountability and autonomy, but most importantly, a developing ability to navigate complexity in this dynamic world in which they will lead. Our vision for teaching and learning here at St Kilda Road is shaped by our 4 timeless principles as represented on your screen: learning to know, learning to do, learning to live with, and learning to be. We apply these principles with innovation and wisdom, and although much has changed over the past century, our values and our principles have certainly stood the test of time. At Wesley, it's not simply what we teach, but more importantly, how we teach. We use innovative techniques as recognised by best practice, and we draw on our collective experience of teaching over many decades to provide a learning culture that allows our students to be the very best versions of themselves. But within the walls of this historic school, I believe lies our greatest strength, and that is our intentional commitment to developing our students as lifelong learners, but more specifically, young people of good character. At Wesley, every child finds their place. There is honestly something here for everyone. And in fact, many would agree that our students are spoiled for choice when it comes to the endless opportunities to pursue new passions and interests and explore and develop personal strengths and talents. Our young people feel that they are known and that they belong. And it's this deep sense of connection that instills the confidence within to truly be themselves. But please don't take me wrong. Our students still experience their own challenges like any child. But there's a unique culture within the historic walls of this great school. Our young people pride themselves on being inclusive. They understand, appreciate and celebrate diversity. And this is lived and embedded from the earliest of ages. This year, we're extremely proud to have commenced our 154th year here at Wesley. And as this slide highlights, our history is long and rich. We actually began as an all-boys day and boarding school here on this very site way back in 1866. We were the first school to embrace co-education, which at the time in 1978 was considered a very progressive move. We opened our Clunes residential campus for our Year 9 students 20 years ago, and we're one of the few schools to offer a long-term residential experience. Our Mckay Wesley Studio School, established in 2010, offers a unique model of schooling for our Indigenous students and provides our Year 10 students with the opportunity to travel to the Kimberley to learn with and from our First Nations people on country. I'm confident that you'll agree with me that every school has its own story, but here at Wesley, every member of our community has a deep respect for our story and the rich history of our historic school. We certainly understand and appreciate the importance of meaningful contribution, and we accept and welcome our individual responsibility to help shape the next important chapter. Wesley itself is comprised of 3 metropolitan campuses with 5 additional sites for learning across Australia, comprising of our Clunes residential campus, our Mckay Wesley Studio School, and our outdoor education sites located across rural Victoria. Our inner city location here at St Kilda Road draws students and staff from almost every postcode in Melbourne, with 90% of our students and staff coming from a 20-kilometre radius from our campus. This obviously provides for a truly diverse campus population. The campus itself is comprised of 2 precincts, our junior school and our middle and senior schools, just a short stroll up the road. Our size as a college provides for extensive cross-collaboration of our academic staff, and this obviously exposes our students to the very best teaching practices supported by first-class facilities. We are known to be a large school, but we are loved for our small school feel. And someday soon, when you do get the chance to wander through our gates, You'll see and hear this small school feeling come to life. It is this authentic feeling of warmth and connection that many of our prospective students and parents notice when they visit our campus for the very first time. And it's often the reason that Wesley becomes their school of choice. Our campus itself is divided into mini schools, our junior school, middle and senior school. Within each mini school, your child will be supported by a network of homeroom and subject teachers, year coordinators and heads of school, health professionals and chaplains that will travel with them throughout their journey. As you will no doubt be aware, Wesley is an international baccalaureate world school, which offers the complete continuum of an IB education, the primary years program, the middle years program, and the IB diploma program. In the senior years, our students are supported to choose the academic pathway that best suits their learning preference. They may continue to study the IB program via the diploma program or undertake the Victorian Certificate of Education. We are very proud of our balanced gender ratios across all levels, as this truly prepares our young people for the real world that exists beyond the school gates. Our girls and boys learn and grow together side by side, constantly collaborating, whether it be in the classroom, on camps, through music, plays and musicals, on the sporting fields, or at times entangled in rigorous debate. A Wesley education closely replicates the world experience for our young people, and this experience is often and on offer both within and beyond our classrooms. We are an academic school with a long and rich history of academic excellence. We continue to contribute to this rich history by encouraging and challenging our students to strive for personal excellence, to run their own race in the hope of leading meaningful lives. And we aim for our graduates to leave our gates as curious, confident and self-motivated learners, but also with a holistic skill set that prepares them for the dynamic world in which they will lead. Our wider Wesley alumni are deeply connected, active and globally dispersed. They span many career pathways and achievements, from politics to sports, science to the arts, and they continue to inspire us all with not only their ongoing achievements, but their meaningful contributions to the wider world. So as I draw to a close, I do hope that this brief overview of Wesley College, but more specifically, our wonderful St Kilda Road Campus, has opened our doors for you this morning. Our virtual tour will now move to where the magic truly begins, and that is in our junior school. And to shine the light on this unique setting, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our Head of Junior School, Sabina De Bono.
Thank you, Kim. Look, it's wonderful to be speaking with all of you today, and I do hope that you and your families are travelling well at this most unusual time. Today, I look forward to speaking to you about our gorgeous junior school. And after your time with us this morning, I hope that you walk away with a greater understanding of who we are, what we value, but more importantly, how this translates to the day-to-day experience for our students. So let's begin. It's quite deliberate that I start by speaking about our students. As an educator and a leader, it is an absolute privilege to wake up every day and to work with young people. Our students come to us with a passion to learn and grow, and they have this natural curiosity for the world around them. So our role then is to get to know our children well, to understand who they are as people, as personalities, but also what makes them tick as learners. And from that, we give them countless opportunities to extend their thinking, to deepen their knowledge, and we continue to nurture their innate curiosity. What we really want is for our children to experience success in their learning. And through that, they build confidence in who they are. And we position them well so that they can begin to appreciate the strengths and talents in those around them. Our goal is centred around that notion of active global citizenship. And we want our young people, when the time comes, to be well informed. And when they're in a position that they need to make a decision, they make one that not only benefits themselves, but also those around them. So let's start with where it all begins, our ECLC. So we are I do appreciate I am a touch biased, and I do believe that our ECLC, our Early Childhood Learning Centre, is the best start for your child's educational journey. We are a Reggio-inspired centre that offers the International Baccalaureate Primary Years program. When I speak about a Reggio-inspired centre, what I'm actually referring to is the way we view our children, the importance the environment plays as it is seen as the third teacher, as well as the roles that our educators play in the early learning space. So we view our youngest learners as highly capable. And there's one thing that we do that is rather special, but also very unique. At the start of each year, our educators visit the homes of every child in their class. And through that, yes, they establish a really strong bond with the children. They get an understanding of what the family's hopes and wishes are for their child. But as well as this, we position our children as experts, and they are the experts as they move around their house. They tell and they teach the educator about who they are, what their interests are, and through this experience, we accelerate that close relationship. When you view children as highly capable, you acknowledge the interests that they come into the school with. So part of our curriculum is actually an emergent curriculum, and that is derived from the interests of our students. We also want to take them somewhere new, viewing them as highly capable, and that's where the units of inquiry through the primary years program supports. A little bit about the environment. At the end of my piece, we will go on a virtual tour and we'll go into the ECLC rooms. Please take note of the displays, the way in which we bring the outside in with the natural aesthetics, but also the positioning of the furniture within the room. Every decision we make is viewed from the eyes of the child, and their perspective must be adhered to here. And lastly, the role of our educators in the ECLC. Consider them more as researchers. Their role is to sit alongside the children and to observe, to notice and respond. And through that process, what they're able to do is build and scaffold the child's interests and understanding of the world around them. And what we do notice that having a start in our ECLC, we really do enrich the language development of all our children. So the rich learning opportunities continue as we move through to prep to year 4. We do now implement the International Baccalaureate Primary Years program. The big ideas that shape a PYP program is that it's constructivist in its approach. So our children are actively involved in their learning, and what they think and how they feel about their learning is really important. It's a conceptually driven program. So previously, perhaps when we were at school, we would learn in themes. So we may have done a topic around recycling, yet our children look at concepts and look at the world through big ideas. So they may look at sustainability, with recycling being one of the areas that they choose to look into. What we know is if we offer a conceptual program for our students, it allows learning to be enduring. Transdisciplinary is also a key pillar in a PYP education. Our children are required to think like scientists, to think like artists, to think like engineers throughout their experiences, but they don't learn in discipline. They are problem posers and problem solvers. So our teachers work hard to map the Australian curriculum. So through our 6 units of inquiry a year, our students are accessing content in geography, civics and citizenship, science, technology and geography as well. So it's a very rich framework for education. Supporting the learning in the classroom is the role of explicit teaching. And that is another thing that we take quite seriously. There are skills that students just need to learn. Specifically when it comes to reading and spelling, there are rules that set them up for success. And for that reason, we don't step away from explicit teaching. And then at the centre of all learning is the child. And the notion that learning needs to be relevant to who they are, significant, worth the investment of time, challenging, so there is actually rigour in what they do, and compelling to give it that longevity. Our homeroom teachers are responsible for literacy, numeracy and implementing the integrated units of inquiry, which I've just spoken about, supported through the program is our breadth in specialists. Our students engage with art, dance and drama, Chinese, PE, library, and they really do, it allows them to take their skills and apply them elsewhere as well. Underpinning our programs is a robust assessment schedule. What we want to see is that our students are growing and experiencing success. So it's important that we analyse this data and ensure that their needs are constantly being met. Before I move on, I just want to speak about prep, because while I would advocate that every year is important in a child's education, the first year of formal schooling does hold particular significance, both for the child who is commencing prep, but also for the families. It is a real milestone. And we do want the first year of formal schooling to be a successful experience and a positive experience for everyone involved. It's for that reason that our main intake into the junior school actually sits in our 4-year-old program. And what we hope to achieve here is that our children make strong social connections. We also have the opportunity to get to know the children well, and that really does support them with a firm transition into their first year of formal schooling. So now let's talk about student wellbeing. The wellbeing of our community is at the heart of what we do, and the wellbeing of our students sits with everybody in the junior school. I have spoken about the importance of strong relationships and taking a genuine interest in those around us, and that is something that I wish we were on site, and I wish we had children back in school, because you would see the interaction between the staff and the children, and it is very evident that there's this mutual respect but mutual love to be learning in this environment. So with student wellbeing, we do notice that there needs to be purpose to what they do. We also want them to experience positive emotion and to understand the balanced approach to learning. We do need to support our young people, definitely, as they navigate tricky situations and they endeavour to make great choices. And there's a number of strategies that we implement. Restorative practice is a significant way that we approach our children. One, because it respects who they are. It allows them to talk about their perspective, and they are very clever in knowing what the best outcome for everyone is. Social thinking is also very important, understanding that people may have different ideas to them, and that is okay. And we need to respect each other in this space and not change the way we treat each other are significant things for young people to learn. And in addition to this, it's always working on their executive functioning. How are they attending to tasks? How are they ensuring that they're reading themselves well and taking breaks as needed and hydrating themselves, and just beginning to realise what they need to bring their best self to everything that they do. So how do we achieve this? Well, it comes down to a really strong recruitment process at the beginning, and we are very fortunate to have staff that are highly skilled in their area. We invest heavily at Wesley in professional development, both externally and internally. So it's wonderful that our staff can go out and hear from thought leaders in education and come back and bring that inspiration back into our classrooms. In addition to that, once a week, we do come together as prep all the way to year 6. As you saw, we make up the primary years program, and this allows for moderation and for alignment in how we teach and what we teach. And that common approach is so very important, as it allows us to measure the success, but also the growth of our children and looking at what interventions make a difference. So the time has come. It is now time for the virtual tour of the junior school, and we have 2 children who are going to walk us around. You will notice we are looking at the junior school through the eyes of the child, so please bear with us as we start playing the virtual tour. Enjoy. We are just experiencing some technical difficulties. We won't be a moment. There's actually meant to be music that's coming from this, but I can talk to it if it makes it easier. This is our ECLC, and as you can see, we've come into the junior school. I spoke about the displays. This is from the children representing who they are, and it's very important that we keep that visible. This rotation here would have been inspired by the interests of the children, the natural aesthetics tying in. This is the ECLC playground, as you can see. Our children are actively involved in maintaining and doing the gardening and growing the vegetables. This is the tunnel that our preps walk through. It's a rite of passage, if you like. You do notice the shift in the classrooms as we move from the ECLC. This is a prep classroom, sorry, and just through the windows you can see that we also have a prep playground specific to the children. We certainly won't be going into every classroom. This is the prep playground that I was referring to. Play is something very tricky for young people to navigate, and so having the preps playing together with 2 staff members, supervising and supporting creates a very enjoyable play experience. Now we're going up to our Year 4 area. In each year level, there is a purple class and a gold class. There's 20 children in the prep classes, so in each prep class, and as we move to 1 to 4, we increase that number to 24 students. We do have a learning assistant that works across the school. You'll notice the desks are all set up for collaboration. That's a key point. We are now going into our Inspire Lab. The importance of STEM in education continues to be of importance, and this is a great space for our children to engage in programming, but also to have, it's a wet area really for science experiments, and teachers can access this space as they choose, but it's a wonderful area for uninterrupted learning. Our young people are taking us to the library, well resourced, but we are not limited to the resources that are in our junior school library, as we have connection to the college. And so it only takes a day or so to get in the books we want, but it really does start that love of learning and that love of literature and reading. We're now in the art room, a creative space for our young artists. So our art teacher links into the units of inquiry where appropriate, but also maintains the integrity of her program. Music, lots of music offerings, orchestra, percussion, and let's see where our young people are taking us now. This is our great space, a beautiful place where our community would gather. And I thank our young people for taking us to their favourite spots in the tour. I do understand that everybody who registered for the tour today has actually got access to that video. So I'll now hand over to Mrs. Bence, Kim Bence.
Wonderful, thank you, Sabina. Well, as you will see from that video, our excellent academic offering, our innovative programs, exceptional staff and first-class facilities certainly speak for themselves. It is, however, our students that are our greatest advertisement, and now it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Arabella and August.
Thank you,
Mrs. Bence. Thank you, Mrs. Bence.
Yes, and thank you, Arabella and August. I think you are so courageous to be joining us today for this virtual tour. So I thank you. I've got a few questions for you, and as Year 4 leaders, I know that you will be able to share with us the insights from your perspective of the junior school. So what do you like most? What do you love most about the junior school, Arabella?
I like how the children work together. It's very inclusive, whether you're doing a project or playing outside.
Thank you, Arabella. I'm now going to go to August. August, what do you love about the junior school?
I really like how there's opportunities to work together. Arabella included it, but didn't speak much about it. You can work together in projects, partners, groups of 4 and groups of 3. We sometimes have projects on unit of inquiry that have multiple people in them.
Thank you, August, because you're absolutely right. We all have such different ideas, and often when we do collaborate, we come up with something that is quite amazing. So let's think back to school. It's been a while since we've been back in the junior school. August, what's one of your favourite spaces in the junior school?
I really like the great space because we have assemblies there every Friday and it can gather many people, and it's just very cozy with everybody there on the assembly day.
I agree, August. It's such a big space, but when our whole community is there, it feels so wonderful. Such a lovely buzz. Arabella, what's your favourite spot in the junior school? Your favourite classroom or space?
My favourite space in the junior school is probably the hutch, so the first 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds, mainly 3s. Because it's a very welcoming space. I mean, I started there in the junior school. It's very welcoming, and as August said, most of the classrooms are cozy, so yeah.
Arabella, you have been, and both August actually as well, both of you have been through spent all your time in the junior school, starting in the ECLC. What have you gained from going through the whole junior school?
Well, I've gained a lot of knowledge, I guess. I mean, that's the whole point of learning. I've learned how to be very kind, and yeah, that's mainly it.
Fantastic. Thank you. I agree. It's about being kind. It's about learning. It's about stretching our brains each and every day. Mr. August, what have you gained through your time in the junior school?
Well, I've learnt that there's a lot of leadership opportunities that there are, and it just kind of sets you up for and it shows you all of the different opportunities and jobs that you can be when you're growing up.
Yeah, because year 4s are the top of our junior school, you had to apply for leadership roles. Can you tell us a little bit about what you had to do to get the role of ambassador?
You have to for any role, actually, you have to write a letter digitally and include some main points about why you should be suited for that role. And so you actually have to write 2 letters. So your main role, and then your role, if you don't get that role, you get a second role.
Fantastic, because everyone in the junior school will make an amazing leader. So we need to give them the opportunity to do so. August, favourite subject in the junior school, or favourite subject, and why?
My favourite subject is math, because there's a huge different variety of different types of things that you can do. In math, there's fractions, angles, perimeter, and area, and all those different things.
Yeah, I agree. And then we apply it to the real world, and we certainly need those skills and knowledge, don't we? Arabella, what's your favourite subject and why?
I like literacy, PE, and unit of inquiry, because literacy and unit of inquiry because I like doing research and like reading, spelling, and PE because I mean it gives me a chance to be active and we get to play games.
Thank you, Arabella. I would have really struggled to pick one subject as well. Now, this is my last question, and I know that it's going to be a bit of a challenge actually, because we are very fortunate in the junior school to have amazing educators. I'm asking you to think of one teacher that has really made an impact on you, and if you could tell me who the teacher is, but also why you'll never forget them. Thank you, Arabella.
Well, I have to say there are two teachers. Mrs. Snape, so she was my year 3 and year 1 teacher. She made an impact on me because she taught me to be very mature and be respectful and have nice manners. And Miss Sutton, who was my prep teacher, because she was very kind to us, and because it was our first year of learning, she was very kind, and yeah.
Fantastic, Arabella. I have this belief that everyone we meet, we have the chance to learn something from. August, over to you. A teacher that has made a big impact on you and why?
Not many people would say this because not many people know this person, but his name is Mr. Smith-Pill. He's the enrichment teacher. He used to be, now it's Mrs. Machin. But Mr. Smith-Pill, he'd always tell us the task and we'd start doing the task, but then he'd just make it fun, and he just pick certain tasks that he'd tell us, and then he'd make up jokes along the way, or he'd do all these different things and strategies that would just make it stick in our head whenever we think of it.
Yes, he's quite a personality, isn't he? And he's, yes, I couldn't agree more with those teachers, and I know it was a tricky question, so thank you so much. Look, that brings me to the end, and also August and Arabella to the end of the questions and answers. Arabella and August, thank you so much for being such confident communicators. I know that our prospective families have just watched you and they're feeling so impressed and so proud because you took a risk today, and boy, it paid off. Such wonderful communicators. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Michelle Mckay, our Senior Admissions Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. De Bono. And I've got to say, one of my most favourite parts of tour morning is listening to our students, and they didn't disappoint today. They were fantastic. Well done, August and Arabella, so articulate. Another favourite part of my tour morning when we're on campus is when all the tour groups come back and we have this wonderful feel of excitement and hubbub as all the tour groups come back, and we have lots of questions for the admissions team. And one of those questions is, when is the best time to apply? Well, I must say, if you're thinking about applying, then the best time is right now. It's not unusual for us to receive applications for students from the time that they're born. So you can understand that in that case, that does make some of our enrolment lists grow very quickly. So the earlier you can put an application form in, the more opportunity you're giving your child when the time comes. So it's very easy to apply. You simply go to the Wesley College website. On the home page, you'll see an icon on the right-hand side that says Apply Now. So if you click on that icon, you'll be taken through the application form, and it's very easy to fill in. I think you might find that the trickiest question is which year level you would like your child to start at Wesley College. So to help you answer that question, I think I should first let you know the main years of entry. And Mrs. De Bono touched on this when she spoke to you earlier as well. So at the St Kilda Road Campus, 3-year-old and 4-year-old early childhood learning and year 5 and 7 are the main years of entry. We will take children into other year levels, but not being main years of entry, places are a little bit more limited in those year levels, but you are most welcome to list your child for any year level at Wesley College. Now, which year level is the best year level? So I understand that there's probably some families out there listening to us right now who have very young children, and it's very hard to know when your child is so young which year level might be the best year level for your child. So fortunately, when you go through and you fill in the application form, you can select all 1, 2 or all 3 of the Wesley College campuses, but you can also select up to 3 different year levels of entry. So I would suggest always select an early year. because you don't know how your situation may change between now and when your child starts at Wesley College. And perhaps your idea of when they will start will change as well. So I would suggest put the earliest year that you think your child might like to start at the college. And then if the admissions team are in contact with you, you have to do the hard thinking at that point in time. And if you're not ready for your child to start then, that's absolutely fine. We can certainly defer their application to any year level that you would like. Now, when we defer a child's application, we have their child's application sit on the enrolment list based on the date we originally received that application. So it's not detrimental in any way to move your child around those enrolment lists. Now, the next question, how early do we start the process? A really good question, because if we're looking at the 3 and 4-year-old Early Childhood Learning Centre, then that process starts up to 2 years in advance. If we're thinking about year 5 and 7, well, they're larger years of entry, and so that process starts up to 3 years in advance. Any other year level, we would start that process probably up to 12 months in advance. So it's important to get that application form in early. The other question, when does the enrolment process finish? Well, you might be surprised to know that the enrolment process finishes pretty much the first day of school in any year level. And that's because there are many families out there whose circumstances will change before their child actually starts school. And perhaps that means that a place does become available. So any time that a place becomes available, we will fill that place up. And sometimes that's very late places in the process. So I think that's probably enough detail from me, although I am very happy to have a chat with you over the phone or receive your emails, or you can email anyone in the St Kilda Road admissions team, and you will see a slide come up at the end that will have the details, my email address, my phone number, also the phone number of the admissions team and the email address for the admissions team. Right now, though, we get to open up to question time. So I'm going to hand you back over to the panel for your questions.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Michelle. We now move to our question time, and our very first question here is for Arabella. Arabella, have you been involved in learning a musical instrument or drama or sport or social service? And what have you learnt from these things?
Well, I have been involved in a musical instrument, so I was doing the cello in year 2 because we have the opportunity to do a strings instrument. In year 2, I do basketball actually. Well, it's actually not on right now, but I do basketball. And yeah, so.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what have you learnt from playing basketball?
Well, I've learnt a lot about teamwork, and because like you have to do a lot of teamwork in basketball because it's not good to be a ball hog, so everyone's got to keep on passing, and yeah.
That's wonderful. That sounds to me like you've got a wonderful, wonderful coach. And I think Arabella has just confirmed that at Wesley there are so many opportunities in all of the different areas. It's often hard for our students to make that choice. So I thank you, Arabella. That's fantastic. Our second question here in the chat is asking about, are all classes a mix of genders? And I suppose what I might do here is actually hand over to Sabina just to talk on behalf of the junior school, and then I'll talk on behalf of the middle school and the senior school. So Sabina, just in relation to that question, could you answer, please?
Sure. So from the junior school perspective, we do have all our classes are co-ed, and so we do have our girls and boys learning together, and within that gender we have a vast range of personalities, and so certainly we do pride ourselves on being co-educational in our approach. And at this stage, when we consider the age and stage of junior school students, there's great merit in having both genders represented in our learning spaces.
Wonderful, thank you. And as our students progress from the junior school into the middle school and the senior school, once again, all of our classes, the great majority of our classes are co-ed. The only classes where we do separate the students is in physical education, and that is only in years 7, 8, 9 and 10. And we do so to provide, I suppose, a culture and an environment where students, the girls can experience these sorts of sports and activities that they particularly are interested in, but also within an environment where every child has the opportunity to experience success and that skill progression, and likewise with our boys. And naturally, you know, a lot of the time we also integrate those classes, and they obviously through sport and other activities, but it is only through physical education in years 7, 8, 9 and 10 where we do have a single-sex classes. Sabina, our next question is for you. Could you describe how you have managed the move to remote learning?
Absolutely. That is a very important question, and I feel we've managed the move to remote learning really well. And the reason I say that is prior to COVID, we were very clear about what is important when it comes to primary education. And as a result, when it came to considering how we were going to move our primary school, our prep to year 4s to remote learning, we really had to make sure that we maintained what is best practice for them. And so the model that we chose came down to a selection of very appropriate platforms. So Teams, Microsoft Teams has allowed us for our teachers to maintain that connection with the children, but also to teach explicitly, because one thing that is so important is, yes, that our children are actively involved and they are getting feedback, but also that we continue. We had no idea how long we'd be in remote learning, so it was really important that the structure of our model allowed us to continually move our students forward in their learning. So we have the live teaching component through Microsoft Teams, and then we implemented and rolled out through our iPad. So we purchased a one-to-one iPad for all our students. It's important when working with young people that they're all looking at the same device and they're configured in the same way, so we could build their knowledge around technology. But also we introduced Seesaw, which is a digital portfolio. It's designed with primary age children in mind, and this I feel was a real turning point for us, because we were able to differentiate our learning for our students and scaffold them. I appreciate that many parents are doing the juggle at home, and we wanted to be able to turn our students back to the teacher to support them. So every day we have literacy block, numeracy block, and then units of inquiry. Our teachers also meet with the students each day. The homeroom teacher meets with the students each day in small groups of 5. And through that, we have a focus of reading, a focus of spelling, numeracy, so we can really interrogate their ideas. You heard me speak about the broad curriculum offerings, and so we challenged ourselves to offer our specialist program within the remote learning, and we are really pleased to say that we do have our art, our drama, our music, PE and Chinese being taught through the remote learning model. So it is a success. We have gained feedback from our parents, we have gained feedback from our students, and I think what has set us up is certainly having the resources and the support of our digital technology team, but also maintaining what is considered best practice and just applying that to this situation that we find ourselves in.
Wonderful, thank you, Sabina. And our very last question this afternoon is for you, August. And the question is, what sorts of things do your teachers do to make you feel at home when you first started at Wesley?
Well, my teachers, when I was in ECLC and I just started Wesley, but I was not knowing the place. So my teachers came up and they took me around kind of a tour around the school. And so they showed me that all around the area. And so they showed me where the bathrooms were, where some of the specialist classes were, and they showed me everywhere so that I knew where everything was.
Wonderful. And August, you're actually very lucky because there's another part to your question. The second part to your question is, what sorts of things have you been doing to get ready for your next step when you have to move up into the middle school?
Well, there were some things that we had to fill in. We were having to pick which sports we were going to do for term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, and we were also having to pick a language, French or continue Chinese. So those are the sorts of things.
Wonderful. So there's lots of planning going on there, isn't there, in preparation for the middle school? And you've got that wonderful advantage of being in our junior school, so you already know a great deal about what happens up in the middle school and the senior school campuses. Wonderful. Well, everybody out there in our audience who's joined us this afternoon, I'm sure you'll agree that Arabella and August have done the most remarkable job to actually answer questions in a live chat session. So we are super proud of both of you, and congratulations, you have done a wonderful, wonderful job to represent our wonderful school this afternoon. So I thank both of you, but I also thank all of our audience for joining us today. Our admissions team will certainly be waiting to take any further questions from you, should you wish to delve a little bit deeper in terms of what is available here at Wesley College. You also have access to our website, and as was mentioned at the start of this presentation and the video with the music will be available as well and will be forwarded to you. But as I said, we do thank you. We hope that we have opened our doors to you in this virtual world to show you all the wonderful things that are happening here on our junior school campus. On behalf of everyone here at Wesley College, we wish you and your families our very best wishes for a safe and healthy journey ahead. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.